Let's go over words of my perfect teacher lesson for 64. Um, as usual, we'll take a moment to relax and adjust our body, speech, and mind. You can do this with a way similar to Guru Yoga. Just visualize this is the perfect place, like Sukhavati. And the Buddha Amitabha is our perfect teacher who is sitting right on top of our crown. And we have the perfect assembly, all the bodhisattvas and the deities of the lotus family, including us. And we have the perfect Dharma, which is Mahayana teaching, and the perfect time. Now let's take refuge. 南无内森，南无冈瓦耶，南无耶当宽咒错难当，上界乔丹巴波根登那达当作者给贝加僧切。南无雷森，南无冈瓦耶，南无耶当宽咒错难当，上界乔丹巴波根登那达当作者给贝加僧切。I and all beings of the six classes respectfully take refuge in the Gurus, Idam deities, and hosts of Dakinis, and in the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Noble Sangha, who fill the expanse of space at the level of the sky. I and other sentient beings, infinite in number, have always been Buddhas from the very beginning. In acknowledgement that this is how things are, we generate the mind of supreme awakening. 大当他也圣洁难，一类三界因巴了，因巴西波达涅的向切巧的圣洁多。大当他也圣洁难，一类三界因巴了，因巴西波达涅的向切巧的圣洁多。Home in the northwest of the land of Odiana, in the heart of a lotus flower, endowed with the most marvelous attainments. You are renowned as the lotus bone, surrounded by many hosts of Dakinis. Following in your footsteps, I pray to you. Come, inspire me with your blessing. Guru Pema City Home. 轰轰，无尽有记录江参，爸妈给撒登波拉，也参求给我这年爸妈就内也设作，快乐康庄忙不过，切节节色的足迹，新结罗写下瑟索，个热爸妈色的红。轰轰，无尽有记录江参，爸妈给撒登波拉。也参求给欧洲年，爸妈就内也设作。快乐康庄忙不过，节节节色大足迹，新结罗写下瑟索，个人爸妈色的红。红啊红，伴着个爸妈色的红啊红，伴着个爸妈色的红啊红，伴着个爸妈色的红。In the pure realm of the great sacred site, the five-peaked mountain, the sense of Manjushi's wisdom in your mind, Jinmei Pencho, at your feet I pray. Inspire me with your blessings. Transmit the realization of the wisdom mind lineage. 你牵着我在阳康色，讲话的街心那夜来门，青梅盘坐下了所我的，共解多宝，破我心结罗。你牵着我在那阳康色，讲话的街，新那夜拉门，青梅盘坐，香那所瓦的，共结多宝，破我心结。You'll renounce evil and take up good, as in the teachings on cause and effect. Your action follows the progression of the vehicles. Through your perfect view, you are free from all clinging. Fearless Guru, at your feet, I pray. Homage to the teacher Buddha Shakyamuni. Homage to the wisdom warrior Manjushri. Homage to the entire lineage of benevolent masters. The unsurpassed, profound, and wonderful Dharma. It's difficult to encounter even for hundreds, thousands, or millions of eons. Now that I get the chance to see, hear, receive, and practice it, may I realize the ultimate meaning of the Tathagata. Okay, so the content of chapter 4 it's about cause and effect, and we have studied the 10 negative actions and refraining from the 10 negative actions are 10 virtuous actions. And we actually we are studying so that we are still studying the 10 negative actions. 3 from the body, 4 from the speech, and 3 more from the mind. So we're going to go over the 3 elective actions of the mind today. And thanks to Sally, who already posted a lot of materials for this lecture. So I think I'm already familiar with the text. So so overview is just covetousness and vision harm on others and the wrong view. These are the 3 major ones. But this class actually wrap up the negative actions. So there is an addition section about talking about the most severe negative actions, which is killing and harboring wrong view. These are the 2 most severe ones. There are 4 questions to go along, and when you read the text, you will notice there is a Q1, Q2, and such on the left of the text. Just pay a little attention. So we'll go for the text reading. So who wants to go first? We're going to go like what people do on the auction. Going once, going twice, going third time, nobody, or we're going to call names. How about Union?
Of course, thank you. We are currently discussing the 10 negative actions in the chapter on cause and effect. We have studied negative actions related to one's body, speech, and mind. Today, we will examine negative actions related to one's mind. Covetousness. Covetousness encompasses all desirous or acquisitive thoughts, even the slightest ones we may have about other people's property. Contemplating how agreeable it would be if those wonderful belongings were ours, we repeatedly imagine possessing them and devise schemes to acquire them, and so on. For example, if you don't own a car and see someone driving a luxury vehicle, you might feel jealous and strongly desire to claim that car as your own. Or if you notice someone has a beautiful house that you don't possess, you may wish to make that house yours. Similarly, if you know someone has a substantial amount of money in their bank account, you might imagine transferring all that money to your own account. Such thoughts are examples of covetousness. Not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. Um, in a broad sense, I'm sorry, I think the screen just went. Oh, have we lost? Sorry, I can't seem to see
Oh,
the screen.
yeah, I think we lost the fan. Okay, here she is.
Sorry, my internet dropped. I'm moving closer to the router. Hopefully, this will help. Okay, can you see now?
Yep, yep. In a broad sense, desirous thoughts about a person, the Dharma, and property all fall under the category of covetousness. However, Patrul Rinpoche explains it here from the perspective of property. Ordinary people often do not view this defilement as unvirtuous. Rather, they believe that wishing to acquire more property reflects their ambition and drive. In reality, when a person harbors covetousness towards wealth, it becomes easy for them to descend into the hell realms. As stated in the Sutra of Right Mindfulness of Dharma, covetousness is quite evil and it drags people to hell. Therefore, when we see someone's property, we should avoid feelings of covetousness. Instead, we should rejoice for them. In the Just King, Mifam Rinpoche states, no matter how wealthy others are, do not covet what they possess, but instead remain joyful for what you have. Otherwise, a person filled with great covetousness, even if they possess some wealth, will easily lose what they have. Here is a story from the Mula Sarvastivada Vinaya. Once there was a man who had a beautiful daughter. When she grew up, her father passed away and was reborn as a king of geese. After losing her father, the daughter lived in poverty and suffered greatly. Witnessing her plight, the king of geese picked up one jewel each day from a treasury island and placed it at her door in the morning. The daughter was quite stingy and did not spend the jewels at all, so over time she accumulated a large number of them. One day she wondered, who on earth gives me a jewel every day? She woke up very early in the morning to see that was what was happening behind the door. She discovered that it was the king of geese who was bringing her the jewels. The daughter thought, this goose brings me a jewel every day, so there must be many more hidden in its stomach. I should try to capture it so I can have even more jewels. Immediately, she set a net to catch the goose. Seeing that she was ungrateful and intended to repay kindness with harm, the king of geese flew away and never returned. A celestial being witnessed this and composed a verse that says, one should not be covetous. Covetousness is unvirtuous. If one becomes covetous, all one's gains will be lost. Therefore, no matter how much money covetous people have, they still experience a sense of poverty and can hardly feel genuine happiness. The Acts of Buddha says, Being wealthy but lacking contentment is also being poor. Being poor but feeling content is the greatest wealth. If we do not adjust our mindset, it will be incredibly challenging for us to find satisfaction and fulfillment solely through material accumulation. We must understand that the value of inner happiness and wisdom surpasses that of external wealth. Material things bring temporary pleasure, they cannot eliminate our suffering. Why is Buddhism sometimes referred to as Adhyatma Vidya, which means the inner science of realization? This is because Buddhism focuses on cultivating inner wisdom, unlike other fields of knowledge that primarily deal with external objects and offer solutions to specific problems. Buddhism has the potential to eradicate all of our afflictions. As a result, when we achieve realization in our minds, the entire external world becomes more beautiful.
Thank you. And I
Thank you.
think there is one question, right? In here. Yeah, question number 1. Let's take a look at the question first.
Okay.
This question actually covers all 3 aspects. Yeah, let's wait a little bit. Okay, any comments on any of these lines here?
Sorry, am I answering I'm trying to answer the first question or just like general thoughts on covetousness?
General thoughts,
Okay.
please.
Well, I think this particular fault is I am struggling with it quite a lot, personally in my personal experience. Primarily because, when I read, obviously the as Kempo says, when we look at, obviously nowadays everybody has a car, so it's impossible not to see a car and obviously look at like nice car. People like having nice cars, and it's almost like a reflex, isn't it? Like when and this is what happens to me. Like when I look at a nice car, it's almost like the thought, it springs in my mind immediately. Oh, I would love to, to own such a beautiful car. And obviously, I also have the same problem with the houses. Like a lot of the times, me and my other half go on like nice walks in a nice neighborhood, and we like look at houses and think, oh, I wonder what the prices are here, and let's look it up and and wonder. We already like fantasize and make a plan in our mind. Oh, how would it look like if we made a plan to buy a house in this neighborhood? So it's very it happens very frequently. And also not only that, but when we look at when I look at my 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 bank balance and start scheming and start wondering, oh, how can I like earn more money, and there is also a particular kind of like lump sum that I'm trying to kind of manage through investments, and I find that it is incredibly stressful. It's not only stressful, but it causes a lot of suffering. Like when you see the stock prices go down, you just feel a lot of pain I feel a lot of pain in my body, and I just, again, this it's not only pain but lots of like defiled thoughts, and it is incredibly painful, and there's a lot of like mental anguish that I'm feeling with that. And so obviously in I think in society now, I do understand when Kempo says here that it is seen very much as a you know, people like to think about like investment, give investment advice, and they look up how to improve how to kind of improve their investments and things like that. And ultimately, it just all leads to more suffering, I think, in the long term, because you know, it's much liberating to let something go, and you obviously let go of the anguish of things not going your way. So, and I've certainly been through a lot of like situations myself where I've had so much pain and suffering with attachment to things like this and money related matters and objects and things like that. And it's incredible how we practice letting go. We let something go and we see the liberating effect of it, but it's we just seem to be so caught up into like accumulating more and buying more and I want this, I need that, and you just end up using it once and then you put it on a shelf and forget about it, and then you're like, when did I get this? I'm not even using it. So it's sorry, kind of went
Yeah.
on a ramble there, but it is particularly a significant cause of suffering in my personal life, and if anything, I can kind of identify with this and feel the what Kemp was trying to kind of articulate here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's all very true, real emotions and sentiments in this craving and desire. And in the living in the desire world, it's very natural for us to have all those cravings and all those thoughts. And I think the wonderful thing about study the text is just to make us think, can it really eradicate all those thoughts, desires? No, not right away. But I think it's actually, at least it starts to make us think, right? Do we really need all that? Like this story, the geese, the daughter's story. She has all those things, but she doesn't use it. And we Chinese have a saying like a poor people live with a lot of assets. So like Campo said here, if you're very stingy, you don't even want to spend it on yourself, not to mention for on others. So is a poor person, right? So and a lot of those thoughts is in my own interpretation, a lot of the thoughts actually makes us living in a dream-like unsatisfying mood, not really living at the moment. So we kind of dream about the future. What if I have all this and all that? Um, and that only adds to our suffering instead of, and some people turn it into motivation. But in the end, how much of this motivation needs where do this motivation need us to? We can never be sure, right? Some people may lead to really good wealth and good intentions and doing very well, but other people may lead it to stealing and do all those bad actions to gain all that. Yeah. And one line here I want to share is Campbell did say, here it goes again. Um, desirous thoughts about a person, the Dharma, and the property all fall under the category of covetousness. So, and desire for the Dharma, in the end, the question is desire for the Dharma? Yes. But not for us at this moment. We do need the desire for the Dharma, but ultimately, if we are too attached to the Dharma, too attached to the words and forget about the meaning, and then it could be a problem when we get to a more advanced step. But for now, we do need that motivation and the desire. And Kim, yes. Kim?
I remember, yes, I remember there was a pith instruction given online from the Tibetan Buddhism Studies group on YouTube. It was a pith instructions from Padmasambhava to an old woman.
Mm,
The old woman never study tantric dharma like other monastic. So he asked for help from Padmasambhava. How to attain liberations without studying all those 84,000 pieces of sutras and Dharma studies. Padmasambhava was said view all these treasures in this world as reflections in the mirrors. So at time of death, you can't grasp any of those treasures in the mirror along with you at death. So that was the mentality he taught the old woman. So with that instruction, uh, I think it's quite useful because whenever I think about the treasures in this world, wealth in this world is just like reflections in mirrors. So you can't grab hold of, you can't take them along with yourself into death. So whenever I think about that instruction, I think it's really helpful to
mhm.
the antidote to greed or covetousness. And that was I'm still looking where that. I'll send you a copy of that because I bought the book
Mm,
uh, and
great.
I've got those highlighted, and I'll send a copy on to share online with all of you. Yeah, that's all I want to say.
Great, thank you. Yes, and all these entire world, including all the assets, it's like in a dream. If we really study the mind-only school, we will know that there are a lot of logic reasonings behind. It's not just a belief. You can logically reason that. Another point I want to point out when we have those desirous feelings and envy other people's assets. The best attitude is rejoice for them. As Mahayana practitioners, our job is to make everybody happy temporarily and forever, right? So if they have assets, we should rejoice for them. And 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 this line says, instead remain joyful for what you have. It says, but also rejoice for what they have. So this is the right mindset to adjust. Um, yeah, and I think really, if we arise this kind of awareness, we can do the adjustment well. Okay, we will need to move on. I need to actually end today's session on sort of on time because I'm taking care of a patient here. So let's move on to
I
section
wanna,
two.
sorry,
Yeah.
Fan, I just wanna add one more thing. Add on um, Kim's like Padmasambhava's advice.
Yeah.
The yeah, the I made the video. The Padmasambhava gave the old woman the peace instructions for enlightenment. That is from the book, The Treasures from Juniper Ridge. For that book, I have say a little bit more. Those books are termas reviewed from Padmasambhava and buried by Yeshe Sogyo, and they consolidated by Tugu Ujin Rinpoche. And this is all the peace instructions is from termas, with different termas have different teachings, but it is carry a lot of blessings from Padmasambhava, because for our degeneration people, how to get this kind of the teachings. So Guru Rinpoche was think ahead and buried those teachings in the right time. These teachings will meet the right people, and also they are not contaminated by the human, because those teachings are coming from Guru Rinpoche himself. So yeah, if anyone is interested, I highly recommend it to read this book. The Treasures from Juniper Ridge is more like the subtle meditation advice. Totally, they have 3 books. One is the Dakini Teachings. The second one is Advice from Lotus Born. The third one is the Treasures from Juniper Ridge. 3 books are very, very good and powerful, and it's very authentic. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Please share the book names in the maybe group chat or in the WhatsApp group. It's better.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on. The next one on my list is Kim.
Hi. Right. 1.9, wishing harm on others. This refers to all the malicious thoughts we may harbor towards others, such as holding on to anger or hatred while imagining ways to hurt them, feeling upset or envious when they achieve success, wishing they were less fortunate, happy, or capable, or taking satisfactions in their misfortunes. As Lama Tsongkhapa said, if the intention is good, then the stages and path will also be good. If the intention is bad, then the stages and path will also be bad. The difference between a good person and a bad person lies in their intention, whether good or bad. If a person harbors hatred and is driven by negative emotion, their actions are inherently not good, and they may even go to the extreme of committing outrageous acts. Such an individual will cause varying degree of harm to those around them. In the process of harming others, they also harm themselves. Furthermore, there are instances where they harm themselves before they have the chance to harm others.
It's some unique story, and you guys can read, and we can go briefly, but don't need word by word reading. Okay, go.
Okay. Therefore, harming others is harming oneself, especially as practitioners. We must never wish harm on others. The sixth patriarch said in the Platform Sutra, if one's mind harbors no ill intentions, the Western Pure Land is not far away. If one's mind holds all intentions, even reciting the Buddha's name cannot bring rebirth there. Some people refer to themselves as lay practitioners, but their character may be worse than that of some non-Buddhists. Some monastics took ordination years ago, yet their intentions are filled with malice, and there is no trace of kindness, especially during the degenerate age. Some Buddhists who always appear to hold mala beads in their hands are rift with hypocrisy. Although they may give eloquent Dharma talks, they are actually unkind. Such individuals will find it difficult to attain rebirth in the Pure Land through praying to Buddha Amitabha. And worse yet, they may experience boundless sufferings in this life and in many future lives. Mimpi Rinpoche says, malicious intention leads to constant suffering in future lives, causing one to be harmed by others for no reasons. Thus, if you are slandered or harmed by others without cause, it is likely the karmic result of your past intentions to harm others. The sutras of the compendium of essential teachings also states the one who likes to wish harm on others is protected neither by humans nor by gods. A person who wishes harm upon others will not receive protection from Dharma protector and celestial beings. Moreover, they will attract various forms of harm from both humans and non-humans. Therefore, for those experiencing great suffering, their circumstances may be related to karma from actions committed in previous life or in this lives.
All right, thank you. Any thoughts on this part?
Well, I think, I mean, from my own experience or from other, it's very difficult to say, but I am quite lucky though. I think, how to explain? Wishing harm on others. I don't really have anything to say about that, but intention. It's but sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it depends on the nature of the person. Some people they have aversion, heavily negative karmic karma from previous life. They are just cannot control the mind, the nature of mind. It's just clouded, deluded with all forms of aversions. So I mean, I come across this kind of people, and I do realize that. I mean,
Then what do you do to them? Do you not like them? Just try to keep the distance, or what?
I pretend I don't know, but it's painful. It's extremely painful, But then
Right.
I don't know. I don't have ideas. I don't have any idea what they do. But actually, I know it inside out. But then it's just that what else you could do? There is nothing we could do when we come across people like that. But it's experience to realize that people have deluded mind. They think of all sorts of stuff that they think you are thinking about the same thing, but in fact, my brain is blank. Has always been blank, has nothing there. But then people might think, oh, why did you do that? Why did you not think about that? Why? I just feel it's it's like when a person has a heavy karma, negative karma from the previous life, they have what I'm saying is they have certain thinking or certain mentalities, and they assume you share the same mentality, but in fact you don't have a clue of what their mentality is about, but they think you think about the same thing. So when you do something different from what they think, they might ask you a question: why did you do that? Why do you do that? Why why do you not do? It's just different, and you just realize that there is nothing you can do. And but I think it's a good experience. It's good experiences to observe and to learn, and to come back to the Dharma, to understand it. And also during the prayers, you dedicate merits to all beings. This is the only thing from a Buddhist point of view, and from Buddhist perspective, that's what I think. Yeah,
Okay.
but it's fun. Yeah, it's funny because the thinking, the mentalities are totally different, and and if it happens to be that you have also of these type of people around you, you feel painful. It's really unbearable sometimes, Yeah, that's why.
If we really look at this from the karma point of view, like it is nice says, so if somebody you feel like you don't like or you want to keep the distance from, this may be just you have such karma in previous life. Because certainly these people, they have friends and families. They may not look at them the same way, right? As you do. And we're all different because our karma is different. So what do we do in this situation? We try to understand they cannot really, they may not know what is right, what is wrong. They may not get in touch with Dharma. They may not even get in touch with their own inner self. They are not wise enough. They cannot control themselves. So from that aspect, we generate compassion for them. That is what the Mahayana practitioners do. I saw Union actually raised your hand. You have something to share?
I wanted to say that I was a bit surprised to read, if you scroll a bit up at when the paragraph starts, wishing harm onto others. I was actually surprised to read how having thoughts of envy are
Mm,
classed under wishing harm onto someone. For
mm,
example, because I'm struggling to distinguish between covetousness, and actually having thoughts of envy or desiring something that someone else has. For example, if let's say that someone else has, I'm not sure the word, promoted, or and then you were up for promotion. Let's say it's not like not even that you're competing with each other, but for example, you expecting a promotion that was like delayed, for example, something like that, and
mm,
your peer has been promoted, and then you feel a bit envious, and sometimes I think you may feel sad that you weren't promoted, but they were promoted. And so it's not necessarily that you don't want them to be promoted, but the fact that you weren't promoted kind of brings some thoughts of sadness. And obviously with that process, I guess you are envious. You could feel
mm.
envious, but I was surprised to read that actually, does that mean that is actually harm onto the other person? Because it's such a low bar to actually wish harm onto someone. So
Yeah,
that would
the hidden feeling
especially,
is very similar if you analyze that, right?
yeah. I feel like it's particularly in that instance is very dangerous territory, isn't it? So that warrants a lot of, especially warrants a lot of mindfulness and needing to pay attention to what's going on.
Yes. And talking about taking satisfaction in other people's misfortune, especially your rivals. That's why, and many of you probably don't know about when 9/11 happened. Um, the Chinese and the China-American relationship was in a low point, and a lot of Chinese people actually express the joy in seeing America get attacked. So, and many Dharma masters actually gave very harsh criticism for these people because this is really unkind and violate the like many rules. Okay, we're going to move on, and the third part. Okay, wrong view and Chris.
Sure. Thank you. Wrong views. Wrong views include the belief that action have no karmic effect, as well as the perspective of eternalism and nihilisms. The view that action cause no karmic effects as stated in the treasury of Abhidharma and upper Abhidharma of the Mahayanas. The belief that action have no karmic effect, that positive action yield no benefit, and negative action cause no harm, lead to arise where lead to a series of inferences. This include the denial of past and future life, the belief that the trivial lack of any great qualities, the notion of the Buddhas has never come into this world, and the idea that heavens and hell are more fiction among other things. Such a wrong view are particularly concerned with that correct view. Studying the Dharma becomes merely a formality, and Buddhism teaching cannot be internalized. The view of eternalism and nihilism, the view of eternalism and nihilism encompass the various beliefs held by the Tirthikas, while these views can be categorized into 360 false view or 62 wrong view. They ultimately fall under the two categories of internalism and nihilism. The Tirthikas views are explained in detail of Venerable Longchen in the Treasury of Wish Fulfilling Jewel and the Treasury of Philosophical Tenet. There are many types of wrong views, and aforementioned number of merely though rough estimate. Sentient being hold multitude of wrong views that are beyond enumeration. Nonetheless, all the wrong views can be summarized under the two categories of eternalism and nihilism. Eternalism is eternalism belief in a permanent self, an eternal existing creator of the universe, such is Vara Vishnu and the God. In the commentary of valid cognition, the chapter titled as The Establishing of the Buddha, the one with valid knowledge refute the existing of the eternally existing creator. Why is the eternalism views invalid? It's because at the ultimate level, no phenomenon can remain eternal. When establishing views in Buddhism, we Buddhists should not blindly adhere to or comfort to other religion. Otherwise, it may hinder our progress toward liberation. While other spiritual traditions may possess admirable qualities, there are significant differences when compared to Buddhism. Recently, I met the intellectual at the Peking University who is Christian. When I was introducing the extraordinary greatness of Buddhism, he bluntly stated that he believed his religion was good and infallible. He didn't ask me to point out anything that he was not good in his religion, and I replied, I may not cover everything, but one thing I can say is that the doctrine in your religion may not sufficiently consider non-believer an animal, which contrasts with the Buddhist value of compassion for all beings. If you disagree and would like to discuss this further, we may have peaceful conversation on this issue. Intellectual, a wise man, and after hearing my words, he reflected on what I said. Of course, I don't intend to disparage other religions to highlight the supremacy of Buddhism. As stated in the praise of the Sage who surpasses God, we should take refuge in follow whichever religion aligns most closely with the truth. It is the choice of the wise.
Thank
Perfect.
you. And any other thoughts on this part? This chapter about eternalism,
This is
believing in God. Yeah.
this story today is because I was listening this on Friday when I was at work.
Yeah.
And this is something, it's kind of maybe coincidence.
Uh-huh. It
Yes,
happens a lot.
and then is there one person I know that came to me and he was asking, where do you go when you die? I said, I don't know. And I said, I don't know where I was coming from.
Hmm.
And I said, I just know one thing, that I'm gonna die someday.
Yeah.
And I was asking him,
Yeah.
where do you go when you die? And he said, I will go to heaven
Hmm.
because he is a pastor.
Uh-huh.
He said, I will go to heaven.
Mm.
Okay, I said, hope you will achieve what you wish for.
Hmm.
And then he said, are you studying Buddhism, Chris? Yes, I'm studying Buddhism. What do you learn from Buddhism? I learn Buddhism. Buddhism teach me how to fix myself. Buddhism doesn't teach me how to fight with you or argue with you or point what's wrong with you.
Right.
Buddhism teach me what's wrong with me, what I did yesterday to fix myself, to all
Right.
beings.
Perfect. Yeah.
And and reading this again today, and he was saying, whoever don't believe in God, you will go to hell.
Right.
He said that to me, and then I said, be careful with your statement. That's a very dangerous. That's a very dangerous view. And he was scared.
Very good.
Yeah, I said that to him. He's a pastor. I said,
Right.
be careful. I
Especially.
said, be
Yeah.
careful. That's a very
Mm.
dangerous statement. You should know what you said. I said,
Perfect. Yeah. Basically, you have answered the question number 3, which means the attitude. What kind of attitude we should hold towards other religions? How do we reason? If we want to reason with them, and what kind of view we should have first? I love Chris' view about you should look into yourself. Just we always should look into ourselves to see what's wrong with me instead of looking at others. What's wrong with you? Right.
also, he said,
Uh,
you are different. I said, what was the difference between me, the one that you viewed in your past? He said, I'm meeting a lot of Buddhism people. He said, but you are different.
mm,
I
mm,
said, because to me, we all brother and sisters. I
yeah.
treat you as my brother.
Mhm.
I respect you high. I have no reason to hurt others.
Perfect. Love it.
And he
And
smiled.
Kim, yeah, Kim had something to share. I know
Uh,
Kim has a Christian background.
this is the areas that I've been thinking about. With Christianity, Jesus sacrificed himself as practical renunciation, and he generate bodhicittas to all sentient beings, and uh, he actually covered everything we talk about, as a Buddhist.
Mhm.
But it's just the teaching, and then is you enter heaven. My question is, because with Buddhism, you never we are talking about how we should behave, how we should understand there is a law of cause and effect, and therefore we need to understand if we don't behave ourselves, we generate negative karma. But with Jesus' teaching, I can always, if I follow it and I do my best, I could, I learned to generate bodhicittas. I learned to renunciate worldly pursuit. It's completely adhere to what we are learning right now. So in the end, am I going to heaven or I enter Pure Land? Because if I act, if I am a Christian and I act in accordance with Jesus' footsteps, follow his footsteps, definitely that all adhere to Buddhist teaching completely. So shall I enter heaven or will I enter heaven or will I actually meet Amitabha in the Pure Land? Because I'm acting. If I follow Jesus' footsteps, I'm actually doing exactly the same as what we've been teaching, we've been taught in Buddhism.
Okay.
So my question.
Look at it this way. Okay, this is my current understanding. So Jesus is a great bodhisattva. He generated bodhicitta, tried to guide everybody into the heaven he talked about. What if, that's my view, my own view, not necessarily right. What if that heaven he guided everybody into is a step to ultimate enlightenment, like the Buddhism view? What if that heaven is a step to up to, right? He doesn't talk about non-self. He doesn't talk about emptiness. He didn't talk about non-self or emptiness. He hinted it, but not explicitly explained it, right? So my own personal understanding on this is like it's a step up. It's not the ultimate pure like Pure Land. In Pure Land, you will be enlightened, right? Like in there. But in Jesus' heaven, he didn't say anything about that. He just said you'll have eternal life, right? So what does eternal life mean? It means you may step up to realize emptiness and become completely enlightened. It could mean that, but not, we don't know. So I agree. Most of the teaching really line up, especially about compassion and about loving and all that. Yeah, but there are some subtle difference, and just Christian didn't explicitly explain it.
And yes, that's true. But once we have compassion, genuine compassion and renunciation, we definitely clear the delusions of our Buddha nature. So once we have clear or without any obstructions in our Buddha nature, we would
Yeah,
and we
well,
can.
only compassion is not sufficient. You need this wisdom. And my understanding about Jesus' teaching, Jesus says he was the way, right? That is so much like our Guru Yoga. So if you truly believe Jesus is the way, you completely give up yourself. You completely believe in Jesus. You become a non-self person. If you give up that self idea, that's perfect. But how many people would really go there and completely give themselves to Jesus?
Mother Teresa.
Right, right. So yes, she was a sage. That's why.
So I was.
So what I want to say is we also need wisdom, which is the emptiness view, and this is I think this is the most advanced part of the Buddhism, the empty view.
Can I say something? I've been
Yeah.
reading book called The Other Shores, and it says the 5 link, the 12 links, or whatever link, however many links we have in our teaching. They said that fundamentally, if we understand the formation is without self, then they are not going to generate any more samsaric existence. So if we act without self, and we don't believe this is me. Well, self, it means I believe this body is me. But if we believe that without self, we are fundamentally, we will not, all the samsara existence will cease from existing. So, yeah, as you say, just now, if I am Mother Teresa and I genuine compassion without self, without self, is that believe in this body is not me, believe, without belief in we have no difference. If I'm a king, you are a beggar, we have no difference from one another. If from Mother Teresa's point of view, whether you are king or you are a beggar, she'll help both. Both of them, she would help. So she doesn't see any difference between two of them. She doesn't compare who is better, who is worse. She has no differentiate, and she doesn't compare two individuals, and it means she is already, enlightened, without comparing two beings, and it's already it's already an expression of no self. She and she doesn't compare. Yeah. So I mean, it's basically she is already there. When they don't have self, they don't believe in self. They don't have self. No self. The samsara existence is extinguished. They're already in nirvana. They are already liberated. So in fact, although for Christian, they believe the ultimate reality is the ultimate end is heaven, but they're already in heaven. Once they help people, they believe there are no difference between either a king or a beggar. They help both of them regardless, and they full of compassion. They're already in nirvana. They already
No, not necessarily. For general Christian, when they are in heaven, they want me to go to heaven. They may want other people to go to heaven too, but they want me to go to heaven. There is a me. For Mother Teresa, it's a different story, okay? But for general Christianity people, they want me to be in heaven with Jesus. That's the difference. I think. Just think about it. I may not be right. Okay. So we can always discuss this. This is going to take forever if we do really go into depth. But let's stop there. We need to move on. Okay. And this also goes to the question number 2, the wrong views. And I can briefly explain here. Externalism believe like there's a God, right, who created everything. Or there's like a Hinduism, there's other type of gods. There's somebody who is omniscient and who is omnipotent and did all this. This is eternalism, and this figure will be there forever. And there is a being, solid being over there forever. That's eternalism. And there are many logic reasoning against that. One reason is like, did this person create this word at one time all together or at different times? And because this person, if it creates all these different times and the contradiction about free will or people what they can do and all the other ones. And there are lots of logical fallacies in there. And we're not going to go to cover all the details, not possible for one class. And the denialism is like everything just appears on their own, and then when we die, we die. There's nothing left, and so this is nihilism. This view is the main policy is that this view shows there's no cause, right? So you don't need any cause. So anything can generate anything if everything just grow on its own, appear on its own. We appear on ourselves. We don't agree on that. We come from our parents. Our mind come from our previous life. So all that, you see, we don't come for no reason. But nihilism says we come for no reason. We go, we're gone, we're gone. So that's the main points.
Sorry, I've just my battery ran out, so I left for briefly. I left
Okay.
briefly, and I'm
That's okay. The types of negative action, and I think we can eventually come back to this question. I have a form to summarize the elective actions by mind. Three type, covetousness, and vision harm among others, and wrong views. Wrong views including believing in no cause and effect. That is actually a type of nihilism because all these wrong views come back summarized into two classes. And there is a comic consequence for each type, and covert is drag people into hell, and vision harm on others. You'll get harmed by others with no particular obvious reason in this life. Probably you had that in previous life or in the first half of the life, and not protected by gods and all that. Comic consequence and wrong views. Wrong views is very important, and there will be no basis for practice because Buddhism view why we want to practice virtue and avoid vice because we want to accumulate virtue for practice and for better practice and eventually renunciation and liberation. But if we hold the view of no consequence, that we can do anything we want to our heart's content. So there will be no restrictions, and then this will definitely lead us into lower realms and no hope for liberation. So antidotes, covetousness, and its antidote is rejoice with own and others' possessions and wealth possessions. And it's still not clear. So vision harm on others. We need to just be careful and be aware and just examine our own mind. This is come by my own explanation. And so wrong views, we just need to learn and meditate and practice. Learning is very important. Without learning all these texts, we may not even go into examine ourselves. We think, oh, okay, pursuing wealth is everybody is doing that. It's correct. It's we should go to do that. That means we have the right life attitude of living and all that. And just be careful when we do that. It's not that it doesn't mean you cannot do that. You can do that, but just watch your mind where it is. Yeah, and this is Kim, right? Kimpo. Yeah,
yes, that's me again. Yeah, it's
yeah.
me again. Right. I'm just thinking that we've got all these teachings about the antidote, but it's amazing. It's amazing. This is one way to look at it to help us to combat this negative emotion, uh, and also I studied the Heart Sutra a little briefly lately, and
Hmm.
they talk about emptiness, and
Mhm.
no self is like to look at matters as if you and me are have no difference, and also I think we could look into those teachings to help us as well
Yeah,
as what we learn. Yeah, yeah, all these combined together can reinforce the teaching. Yeah, that's what I want.
great. Yeah, since you mentioned that, I want to add one logic reasoning for that. So when we analyze the no self, we study Heart Sutra or the Paramita Sutras. Um, so you can look at the self. We're made up, according to science, reductionist. In the science, we reduce to molecules, right? Atoms and the particles, and in the end, so in Buddhism, and say there is a non-divisive, the ultimate, the smallest particle, we call it non-divisive particles. I don't remember the particular name, but this is I created this name based on the Chinese name. So, okay, how do I say that? And let's not go to that far. Let's look at our like what we think me idea is. Well, this body and mind, right? So two parts, body and mind. So okay, if we look at the body, which part is me? We cannot really find a me in this body. Not our brain, not our heart, not our hand, feet. These are all part of me. So if this part of it's not none of this, there is no me or self in this body. And then if we look at our mind, it's easy to think that our mind is me because, well, the body is not me, and the mind must be me because I'm thinking. So who is thinking? I am thinking. But if we analyze this thinking, the mind, it can divide into four parts. You perceive the environment, you feel the environment, and you reason, and then ultimately you memorize all this. These are the four. This is called the five aggregates, right? Including the body and the mental formation and the perception and all this. I altogether I call it the five aggregates. In addition to these five aggregates, there is nothing we can relate to me. But if you go analyze all these components, you cannot really find a me in any of residing in any of it. So analyze to the end, you have to come to this conclusion that me is an idea created by our mind only. So makes us comfortably thinking there is this me and in control and I'm going to be here from past life to current life to future. That's the same me. Everything has changed, but we still think it's the same me. And even 5 years old to until now, we think he's still the same me. Everything has changed. Our mind changed, our body changed. We hold to this idea of constant me. There's no constant me. There's no forever me. There's no me in charge of anything. It's just cause and effect. So, so if you analyze in that way, you will realize this me idea is a mere abstract idea. It's not solid. It's not real. It's created by our mind only to deceive us. Um, okay, too much. Need to come back to the text. So we go to nihilism, and we didn't finish that part. Yeah. And the next person, Yuan Fang.
Yes, thank you. Nihilism. Nihilists hold the view that everything emerges by itself, denying the existence of past or future lives, the concept of karma, and the possibilities of liberation or freedom. How did the Nihilist view arise? It is said that when the Asuras initiated a war with the gods didn't want to engage in negative actions such as killing due to their inherent belief in the principle of cause and effect. However, when the gods faced defeat, the god Brihaspati needed to motivate his celestial soldiers, so he deliberately created a text that promoted a wrong view on the long existence of past and future lives. Later, the Rishi Jokava, a Titika teacher, brought this wrong view to the human realm. What were the wrong views? As it says in the doctrine of Black Ishvara, the rising of the sun, the downhill flow of water, the wrongs of peace, the bristling lungs and sharpness of stones, the beauty of the iridescent eyes of peacock's tails. Nobody created them. They all just naturally come to be. They argue that the sun rises in the east without anyone causing it to do so, and the rivers flow downhill without being pushed. No one shaped peace to make them round or sharpened the points of songs. The vibrant patterns on the peacock's tail were not painted by any hand. These phenomena simply exist as they are, governed by their own nature. Similarly, everything in the world, whether pleasant or unpleasant, good or bad, arises on its own. There is no such thing as past karma, previous lives, or future lives. If we examine those examples closely, we will realize that they are not valid at all because all phenomena arise from causes and conditions. When causes and conditions ripen, phenomena will manifest. Otherwise, all phenomena, including the sharp points of thorns, will not manifest because they do not exist intrinsically. Even if this external phenomena were intrinsically existent, we still could not conclude that internal suffering and happiness also possess inherent nature. Why is that? For an analogy to be effective, the two things involved must share something in common. The aforementioned analogies do not share any commonality with internal suffering and happiness. The suffering and happiness of sentient beings arise from causes and conditions in the way that one's past positive and negative actions lead to future suffering and happiness. Of course, to accept this view, we must first acknowledge the Buddha as the one with valid knowledge. Then we will accept the Buddha's teachings on the principle of cause and effect. Alternatively, through debate, we can refute the nihilist viewpoint by exposing its logic fallacy. This way, nihilists cannot disprove the existence of past and future lives. We have studied numerous logic reasonings and empirical evidence on this matter, which you can refer to in your analysis. Believing that the teachings of Titika traditions, eschew and adhering to them, or even without such adherence, considering the Buddha's word, your teacher's guidance, all the writings of respected Buddhist scholars as mistaken, and harboring doubles, doubts, or criticism toward them, all fall under the category of wrong views. Even if we currently don't hold the wrong views, as some Dharma masters have mentioned, we may eventually adopt erroneous views due to our own lack of merit and blessings. It is at most importance for you to carefully contemplate which views you choose to accept. Thank you.
Thank you, Renfang. Any comments of nihilist views? This is
Yes.
obviously wrong, right?
Yes, this is nihilism is obviously that is wrong, and I more get the more interesting is about the logic thinking way.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we are facing a lot of example. When we in the life, when we learn something, we always face something. They will say, for example, for example, for example. Actually, when they say, for example, after learning today, I fear when they say, for example, we should be careful because that is really some example is no logic, no connection, no
Mm-hmm.
connection. Okay,
Right.
we should be careful. The for example. Okay, so that is I learned from today.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. When they argue the water just falls with nobody pushing it, we know it's
Yeah.
gravity. If the water level goes up, right? Because of the gravity. Um. Yeah. So, and the Buddhism logic is so sound. Because you need a good core. You need the reason, and you 中英语, you set up your argument, and then you give your reason, and then you do give your example, but Buddhism logic do examine these examples to see if the examples can fit into the logic reasoning.
Yes.
Yeah. So many, and like you said, many examples are not suitable examples.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. We need to move on. Now we go to see the worst of the alternative actions, and uh, iPhone Demi. Who is iPhone Demi?
I am here.
Oh, okay. Could you please read in the next?
I'm sorry. I think I will have to pass because the text is very small for me on my screen on
Okay.
my iPhone. I'm sorry.
Okay, got you. Thank you for
Okay.
participating, being here. I will ask then Jonathan.
Sure. Now we have studied all 10 negative actions. The worst of the 10 negative actions are taking life and holding wrong views. As it is said, no action is more severe than taking someone else's life. Among the 10 negative actions, holding wrong view is the gravest. Regarding wrong view, the True Attainment Treatise says, the power of mental acts exceeds that of physical and verbal acts. And of all the vicious acts, wrong views are the gravest. Therefore, the power of actions related to the mind surpasses that of actions related to the body and speech. So why are taking life and holding wrong views considered the worst? Here, Patrul Rinpoche offers a brief explanation. When it comes to the act of taking life, aside from beings in the hell realms, there is no being that does not fear death or prioritize their own life above all else. Of course, when a crisis arises in relationships or life, the pain of living can far exceed the pain of death, leading the person to choose suicide. If we humans disregard and trample upon the lives of other species, we are truly committing a grave error. Leonardo da Vinci, the renowned Italian Renaissance painter, stated, "Whoever does not respect life does not deserve it." And my body will not be a tomb for other creatures. If the animals we consume could communicate in our language, I believe no one would dare to take their lives. However, it is precisely because they cannot speak and cannot defend themselves that we humans thoughtlessly end their valuable lives. Thus, taking life is a particularly negative action. According to the Sutra of Sublime Dharma of Clear Recollection, if someone kills another living being, they will have to repay that act with 500 of their own lives in future rebirths. Additionally, killing even a single being will result in spending an entire intermediate kalpa in the hell realms as retribution. Even worse is using a virtuous endeavor such as building a representation of the three jewels as justification for engaging in negative actions like taking a life. As Padampa Sangye warns, to build a representation of the three jewels in a way that causes harm and suffering is to cast your next life to the wind. The same is true for individuals living in the Han areas of China. When they see ants, cockroaches, and mice, they kill these creatures while reciting mantras for them. They even claim that this killing is acceptable since the recitation can help transfer the consciousness to the unfortunate animals. Imagine if someone recited the Buddha's name to you and then killed you. How would you feel? Each of you should reflect on this.
I'm going to pass that part. Here we go.
Under the influence of wrong views, sometimes people may make offerings that appear virtuous, but in reality they are not virtuous at all. It is equally misguided to think you are performing a virtuous act by killing animals and presenting their flesh and blood to monastics, invited to your home or to an assembly of Sangha members. The negative karmic consequences of killing animals for food offerings affect both the offerer and the recipient. While the donor is offering food, the act constitutes an impure offering, and the recipients are consuming improper sustenance. Any potential positive effect is overshadowed by the greater negative consequences. Certainly, unless you have the ability to immediately revive those you harm, there is no situation in which killing does not defile you as a negative action. You can be sure that such actions will adversely affect the lives and dharma activities of your teachers. Thus, unless your teacher possesses the extraordinary ability to transfer the consciousness of living beings, like the great enlightened practitioners Sarahapa, Dokyen Yeshe Dorje, or Dujum Rinpoche, receiving offerings that involve killing will ultimately harm their lives and activities. As Shabkar Tsodrok Rangdrol pointed out, even if a teacher has such extraordinary capacity, accepting the flesh and blood of a freshly killed animal as a meal does not seem appropriate. However, if the teacher is a noble being like Tilopa, who could transfer consciousness to the fish he consumed, then engaging in wrathful or fierce activities to benefit beings is permitted in Buddhism. If you're unable to transfer the consciousness of beings that were killed to the state of great bliss, you must strive to avoid taking their lives. Otherwise, as the treaties of great perfection of wisdom states, do not take another's life, because taking life leads to sufferings, life after life.
Thank you, thank you. This is a long passage. So I know you're a vegetarian, so
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think it's beyond, it's not even about being vegetarian here. Like
right.
the whole purpose is really to abuse of Buddhism in a way to justify actions that would be otherwise considered negative actions. And this
Yeah.
is why it is even worse. Like it's the ultimate combination of having the wrong view, so you don't have a clear understanding of Buddhism, and then you use that as a way to justify a negative action. So that's why it makes things even worse. And it is actually very interesting how we can easily how we can easily what's the word in English? Sorry,
Fall into this trap.
yeah, kind of deceive ourselves, like a
Yeah.
self-deception. That's what I was
Yeah.
searching for, yeah. Because eventually we get to a point where, like, oh, I figured it out, I understand how this works, and then using mantras and this and the view in a way to, to justify these things. Like there's a very famous contemporary post-Marxist philosopher. His name is Slavoj Žižek. And then he, on rare occasions, because I'm always looking for people who talk about Buddhism in a negative way. I like to try to find this online because, for example, you will find a lot of debates between Christian apologists and atheists, or Muslims and atheists, or Muslims and Christians, but you rarely see people trying to criticize Buddhism. And then this philosopher Slavoj Žižek, he did a criticism of Buddhism that I found quite interesting, and he said that he was talking about this in probably feudal Japan, where there was a war. There was this Zen master who was teaching the archers that when they were picking up their arc and then their bow and arrow, and then aiming at someone and shooting the arrow on the person, he was teaching them that there was no bow, there was no arrow, there was no person shooting, and there was no person being killed. So using this as a way to justify that they could go to war and kill people. So this is exactly what we're talking about. So Slavoj Žižek obviously does not understand Buddhism because he
Right.
has not studied Buddhism, but he took a correct story to show that there could be something terribly wrong about Buddhism. If someone develops the wrong view and then uses it as a way to justify wrong actions, this is terrible.
Yes.
So
Great.
that would be my personal take on this whole story, and how easily we deceive ourselves. Like, oh yeah, I figured it out, and I understand, I know what it is. But the Kempo's last sentence at the end, if we can come back to this, I find it very this one in if you're unable to transfer the consciousness of beings that were killed to the state of great bliss, you must strive to avoid taking their life. So it's an interesting question to ask ourselves. Like, when I'm killing this animal and reciting a mantra, do I have the conviction that I have the capacity to transfer consciousness of beings to another realm?
Right.
And then maybe if we honestly look at ourselves, the answer will most likely be no. So maybe it's good to try to find another way to, like, in our house, for example, when there are ants and other bugs, well, we take them one by one and we bring them outside, and you reciting some little mantra. But the mantra here is not about, like, yeah, I can justify killing you now, but it's about hopefully, like, giving you a better chance in the future. But I think we have to be very careful. We have to be very careful about the view and conduct in this case. Yeah, that would be it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And the comic consequence is like suffering life after life. And in the sutras, you often see one killing leads to like 500 lives reborn and being killed in similar way. Or in the text here, it says suffering like one single killing will lead to 1 million copies of what it says the 1 million copper. That's a super long time of retribution. So it is very severe. And if we practice a little more, I think we can gradually realize you can kind of reason it out also why killing is the most grave. The reasons here we usually in the beginning study we say because everybody cherish life, including all the animals, right? And they're willing to pay any price to save their own lives. So for that reason, we should treasure other lives as well. But when you practice a little deeper, you can kind of know. Yeah. Okay,
Sorry,
I need to.
we
Yeah.
very quickly we could like someone who would order a steak and then have the steak come and then make a prayer for the steak and then eat the steak would be another example of of how this could be a twisted approach to viewing. Obviously, it is better to generate compassion than not generate compassion, but it's just to show that we can twist things so easily in our mind. Turn the white dharma into black dharma very quickly. Yeah, sorry for the second interruption.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Yeah, especially when at this stage of practice, we need to be very careful. Okay, let's move on. So Sally, please.
Sure. Regarding wrong views, according to the Vinaya and the four-part Vinaya, holding wrong views, even for a brief moment, result in breaking all your vows and severing your connection to the Buddhist community. It also undermines the precious opportunity of human life to practice the Dhamma. For that instant, your mind becomes defiled by wrong views, rendering even your good actions incapable of leading to liberation, and the harm you cause irredeemable through confession. Why is this the case? It is because if you aim for liberation, you must hold the fundamental right view on rebirth and karma. Otherwise, any virtuous deeds you perform is merely a matter of appearance, which does not lead to liberation. Thus, Ayadeva says, it is better to break the precept than to destroy right views. Nagarjuna also says, those who with wrong views, even if they perform virtuous acts, will still suffer unbearable consequences. In addition, the true attainment of treatises says, when a virtuous doer is about to die, if he generates a wrong view, he will fall into the hell realm. When a vicious doer is about to die, if he generates right view, he will be reborn in a celestial realm. Therefore, a fleeting wrong thought at the moment of death carries very significant consequences. Chen Master Uda of the Northern Song Dynasty was very strict with his disciples. Once, one of his novice monks accidentally trampled a frog to death while walking at night. The Chen Master asked the disciple to jump off the cliff on the back mountain as a way of repenting for his fault. The novice monk approached the edge of the cliff in great sorrow. He looked down but could not see the bottom. Realizing he would definitely die if he jumped, he didn't know what to do and began to cry out loud. A butcher happened to pass by and asked why the novice was crying. The monk explained the situation. Hearing this, the butcher replied, "You just accidentally killed a frog. The karmic effect is already so heavy that you must repent by jumping off the cliff. I slaughter pigs every day, and my hands are steeped in blood. My fault must be boundless. You don't have jumped off the cliff. Let me replace you." Then the butcher jumped without hesitation, feeling extremely grateful. Just as he was about to hit ground and die, a cloud suddenly caught him and saved his life. There's also a historic account stating that the butcher attained realization at that moment. This can be regarded as an example of laying down the butcher's knife and immediately becoming a Buddha. Thus, a fleeting thought of remorse can purify infinite negative actions, whereas a fleeting thought of wrong views can trap one in an abyss of suffering for thousands of kalpas. Moreover, since those with wrong views believe that all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are non-existent and have no merit, even if they wish to repent after committing misdeeds, they don't have an object to repent to. Therefore, of all negative actions, wrong views is the worst. To avoid generating wrong views, we should often pray to the Guru and the Three Jewels, while also understanding the truth related to views, meditation, action, and fruition in Buddhism. By doing so, the seeds of wrong views in our mind stream will gradually be burned away by the fire of wisdom. We will protect the Dharma and benefit living beings with our right views, life after life.
Thank you. Comments?
I think the Dharma teacher, master, was so strict that if you kill a frog accident, you have to jump the cliff. I wonder what happened to the monk. But anyway, and also it shows, maybe it is not legend, but the butcher, he must have a lot of merit, and then realized he had been killed. His hands are steeped in blood, and very bravely jumped. And then at that instant, that his courage and then his repentance saved him. So this is a very instantaneous karmic effect that's at work here. So we should remember that, even we have a flipping or wrong thought, we just correct right away, and that we could save ourselves for one thing. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. And for this story says a lot. But it comes from here first. A fleeting wrong thought at the moment of death carries very significant consequence. And the same way, a fleeting right thought at the moment of death also carries very significant consequence, right? So at the moment of death, what we are thinking it will be very crucial. So many masters' teachings say at the moment of death, we need to focus on thinking about how much merits we have accumulated. We need to think about that. Through practice, we have, even though you may not have, we have purified all of our negative actions. And then we visualize the Buddha, Bodhisattvas, and keep all these positive thoughts at the moment of death. And this is the key of taking a rebirth in Pure Land, in better place. Yeah. So no matter what kind of negative actions you are remorseful, you very regretful, You don't want to hold on to those at the moment of your death. You need to think that all that has been purified. Comparing to this butcher story, and this famous saying, laying down the butcher's life and immediately becoming a Buddha. This butcher is not an ordinary butcher, and he could jump off the cliff knowing that he was going to die, and his intention was to save this little monk, right? So, and his intention also to regret what he has done in his life. So, not everybody can do this. Many people use this line. This is a famous line in Chinese language culture. Many people use this line to justify the elective actions. Say, oh, I can do this, and because if I don't do it the next time, I'll be just perfectly fine. No, that is not the case. We still need to watch out our cause and the consequence very carefully. Not You're not that butcher. We're not that butcher. We're not that courageous to face death just like that. Yeah, Yuan Fang, please, Yuan Fang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, I'm a little confusing about this story of the Wu De. And actually, we say that the Buddhism cannot kill anybody. The Buddhism cannot kill anybody. So the Buddhist cannot kill anybody. So, and include themselves.
Right.
So, yeah. So my confusion is why would ask his disciple to kill themselves, and that is means if this disciple really jumped off the cliff, then that will make two bad karma. The
Right.
first is the disciple killed himself, suicide, and that is a bad karma. And the Buddha will have another bad karma. It's because he asked his disciple to suicide. So
To jump. Yeah.
yes. So why
Why did he do that?
yes, why would do that? So there is a
Well, if this master
I'd
he
like to
had some realization, he may already he may know that the disciple wouldn't jump, just to try to make him aware that this is a very bad. It's a very bad behavior. So yeah, that's my own thoughts. I don't know if I did not read this story in other places, so I don't know the consequence, other things about these masters also. So it's only my guess.
okay. Yes, maybe that is the
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, the
reasonable.
fact is he didn't jump. Right.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Uh, okay. I saw Kim had something to share. Yeah.
Not much, sorry to interrupt. Anyway, I just want to go back to that, line that like laying down the butcher's knife and immediately becoming a Buddha. I think this is a very encouraging lines, to be
Yes.
honest, for
Yes.
those who have committed murder, uh, and they suddenly would like rape, they feel extremely regret. It's not just murder for those who committed negative action throughout, three quarters of their life, and suddenly they realize uh they need to lay down their knife to become a Buddha. I think this line is encouraging for people like
Yes.
that, or else,
Yeah.
people who has committed lots of negative action throughout the almost entire life, they
Yeah.
would feel, difficult. They might, maybe disencouraging for them to start Buddhism late in life. Yeah, that's what I think.
Exactly. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. And on one side, I want people, I think people should be careful about citing this line. But on the other side, just like you said, it's very encouraging because ultimately, the ultimate purification is realizing the emptiness, right? And Camus said this butcher actually attained realization at the moment. So that is the ultimate purification because it's just like we do all these selective actions in a dream, and then you wake up from the dream. Nothing in the dream actually exists, right? This is just like when you are enlightened. So our current life, whatever we do, no longer exists. So it's the same. So a sharp faculty person can do this. Yeah. And also, no matter how many negative actions we have done, if we can have ways to realize the emptiness, all these negative actions can be like purified. Yeah. And Jonathan, yes.
Yes, that story is quite interesting. And maybe we can also see that we don't have access to the backstage story because we don't know if the master was enlightened master, and he might have told his disciple to go jump off the cliff because there would be a manifestation of a
Right.
of a highly realized being who would just come and teach him something else, you know.
Right.
Because if the teacher is not an enlightened teacher and he tells his disciple to go jump off the cliff, then this is probably a terrible thing.
Yes.
So that's I think that there's something interesting behind that we don't have access to that would probably give us a bigger picture or a bigger understanding of this whole story, of the staging of the whole story. At least that's how I would personally see this.
Yeah, I'm going to look up this master because this is a story from historic account. So it should be a true story. Only in my understanding, there are so many biographs of these highly realized beings in Chinese history. My guess is he's a realized master. So, but I will look it up and share in the group. It makes me very curious about it too, but that is my guess. Okay. And I think that will conclude our lesson. We did go through the question number 4, killing and wrong views are the most severe negative actions. Why? Because those give the most dreadful karmic consequence and totally hinder our liberation. Um, and we're going to do our dedication. Just as the warrior Manjushri, I attained omniscience and Samantha Bhadra too. All these merits I now dedicate to train and follow in the footsteps. As all the Buddhas of past, present, and future praise these aspirations as supreme, I now dedicate all these rules to all beings to perfect good actions. 所南的一坛加热巴涅，托内涅比迦南盘谢迦，揭干那提瓦弄车巴耶，这波这里卓瓦修。唵嘛吽吽班扎格热巴玛瑟的吽。唵嘛吽吽班扎格热巴玛瑟的吽。唵嘛吽吽 满载歌热满马色的红。Thank you for a wonderful session. Wish all of us a good, happy weekend.